You know, the CD never really went away, but it is starting to make more of a comeback, probably because of the high prices of vinyl. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, with the right player, you know, they still sound absolutely fantastic. Now, this is the SMSL PL150. Now, this is a compact, modern CD player. It's got a decent DAC chip in it, and it's made for the desktop, or maybe a small hi-fi setup. It's sleek, it's solid, and you know what? It just might make you fall in love with your CDs all over again. Hey everyone, Bruce here from Desktop Hi-Fi. On this channel, I review affordable hi-fi gear, you know, for desktop listening. You know, things like DACs, amps, headphones, streamers, small speakers, stuff that makes music fun again. Now, SMSL sent the PL150 over for reviews to me, but as always, no one gets to see this video before it goes live. All opinions are my own. Now let's just talk about the unboxing experience. Everything comes well packed. You know, comes double boxed and ready to go. So in the box, you're going to get the SMSL user guide. There's some warranty info. You get the standard SMSL plastic remote. Boy, do I have a ton of these things laying around. At any rate, you also get a USB charging cable. And finally, you get the PL150 itself. Now the disk drive, the eject on here and loading and unloading CDs, is a nice smooth transport. Okay. Now I know that some people, there's been some things said that the transports were from the automotive industry. They were Phillips drives from the automotive industry, and so were designed to take a lot of shocks and vibrations and have really good error correction. I can't speak to that 100% certainty, but it probably is. Also, I think that people are having a hard time getting a hold of the PL100. These are still available, the PL150 for like $150 or maybe even less. And I think you're just getting a lot better unit for the difference in the price. Okay, let's go over the front panel just briefly. This would be your stop and eject, play, pause, and power. Press and hold this, and that will turn on. So you don't even have to have the remote to use it, but obviously I think that makes things better. Previous, next, skip, volume up and volume down. That only affects the headphone output on here, and there's a 4.4 millimeter headphone connection, and then there's a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. And then this is your information, your display, that will tell you if you're using the headphones, you can adjust the volume up and down. It'll tell you that, your track number, and so forth. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the remote for a couple things just to demonstrate. So let's go ahead and we'll start the CD with the remote, and let me just show this to you. Again, this is kind of the standard SMSL remote. Your power, mute, volume up, down, pause, play, skip, so next, previous, stop. This button here will eject. The function display buttons don't do anything, and then your track numbers. So that's in there. Anyhow, adjusting your volume up and down. So you can do that, volume down, so forth. So we're going to go ahead and play. There we go. Now we're playing. And you can see it tells you your track number, which is track 01, how long you've got going, remaining on the song, or how long it's been playing, I should say. So those are some of the features on the front of the SMSL PL150. I just wanted to point out how nice and smooth the eject button works on here. You really don't have to worry about scratching your discs. The only way this thing is going to scratch your disc that I can think of is if you have some dirt and crud on your CDs and you let dust and dirt get into the drive, then yeah, it could possibly scratch your CD. But as long as you're using clean discs in a fairly clean area, this thing's not going to scratch your CDs. Moving to the back of the PL150, right? You've got your RCA output jacks. You've got a coaxial output. You've got an optical output. It's powered by a 5-volt, 2-amp power brick. And I actually have been running this off of an Anchor power brick. So this is actually great for portability. You could literally take your pair of headphones, take the CD player, and also a power brick, a power bank like the Anchor, throw that in your backpack or whatever, travel suitcase, and you can listen to your music. So it can be used not only in a desktop scenario, but also on the go. Unfortunately, there's not a 12-volt trigger, which would be kind of cool, I think. But other than that, that is all that's really on the back of the SMSL PL150. I should also mention, I thought it was really nice to see everything just laid out so clearly. You know, for example, and plus on the back, the RCA jacks, they actually are gold plated. So it's just so nice to see gold plated connections and just the nice layout of the PL150. Inside the PL150 uses the Cirrus Logic CS43198 DAC chip. And that's kind of a favorite in a lot of portable devices because it's got a very smooth and musical sound to it. Now, just to be clear, the PL150, that chip inside, is capable of more than what you'd get out of a Redbook CD. But this is strictly Redbook CD. It does play burns MP3s. So you're going to get 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz. That's what it's made for because that's what CDs contain, right? Unless you're looking at SACDs or something like that. In other words, the chip's higher resolution capabilities do not change the CD bitrate. Also, the PL150 is a CD player and can be used as a transport, which is what I'm actually using it for. It does not function as a general purpose DAC or for any other digital sources. You can't feed, a separate source into it and use its internal DAC as the main converter. So if you want to use a different DAC, other sources, then go ahead and connect this to an external DAC. Use the coax or optical outputs and send the CD data to that external DAC instead. Setting this thing up could not be simpler. Seriously. You just plug in the USB power cable to it, plug it into, say, a phone charger or maybe a battery bank, what have you. And other than that, put in your CD, connect your headphones, either the 4.4s or the 3.5s. You're done. That's all there is to it. Oh, and don't forget to put in your favorite CD, which in this case, I was listening to Eric Clapton's Unplugged, which is a live CD because we're going to talk about gapless playback in just a second. For this review, I used the built-in DAC and listened with my headphones. Okay, I connected a pair of my Philips SHP 9500s, which I think these are like $80, and man, what a great sounding pair of cans for very little money. They're one of my favorite with dynamic drivers. One of my absolute favorites. I think these are rated at 32 ohms impedance. But I think these are just some of the best value headphones on the market. But I thought the kind of person I think with their budget would look for this type of device probably wouldn't necessarily be using high-end planars or electric static IEMs or anything like that. So they'd probably be using more consumer budget-friendly headphones. So I auditioned with these Philips. Not disappointed at all. So how does the built-in DAC headphone amplifier, how does it actually sound? And for my listening tests, I used Eric Clapton's Unplugged. And that's just one of my favorite reference albums. It's a live recording because guess what? I am checking for gapless playback. Okay, so how does it sound? That's the important thing, right? Well, first off, this is a warm and detailed and just a natural CD for testing the musical ability of the DAC and how it sounds. Through the PL150, Clapton's guitar on SIVGA had a beautiful texture and space around each note. Vocals on Tears in Heaven were intimate, lifelike, breathy realism. Makes you feel like he's sitting right in front of you. Now, the Cirrus DAC gives everything a slightly softer edge, a little smoother, a little bit more natural, easy on the ears. Bass is solid punch and control. The mids are rich and warm, and the highs sparkle without ever sounding harsh. It's a sound that invites you to relax and listen for hours, not one that tries to impress you in the first 10 seconds. If you're going to compare this to the PL100, this newer model is noticeably quieter and cleaner sounding. You see, the new Cirrus DAC chip adds a little bit more depth and refinement, especially in the mid-range. And that's where the music, most of it lives, is in the mids. Look, it's not going to be as feature-packed as, say, something like their PL200 transport paired with a, say, my D0400 S.M.S.L DAC headphone amp. But for all-in-one CD player, the PL150 nails, I think, the essentials. Now, let's just talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons, but we're going to start with the gapless playback thing, because this was one of the major complaints of the PL100, is that it didn't feature gapless playback. This does, and I've tested it with 2 different live CDs, Eric Clapton's Unplugged and Simon & Garfunkel Live in New York. Okay, there's been a few people say something to do with if you go to like the fast forward, through the CD, that the gapless playback might stop. I tried every potential combination, and with Unplugged and also Simon and Garfunkel, and I can tell you that there might be one, for example, if you skip ahead for a second or so, there might be just a pause, but then after that, gapless playback resumed. So I've not really had any issues with gapless playback with the PL150. If somebody knows what the exact combination is, because I tried multiple things and did not get any real interruption in the gapless playback. So that is, I think, an important thing to distinguish between the SMSL PL100 and the PL150. That's another thing that you're getting for a little bit extra money. So let's talk also about the pros and cons. So you get excellent build quality, smooth, nice sound from the little Cirrus DAC chip in there. It's a compact size, perfect for desktop setups, simple setup, very quiet operation, can be run off of a battery pack. You've got a built-in headphone amp, not the most powerful. I think at max it might put out like 0.6 watts into 32 ohms. You're not going to get real heavy-duty, power-hungry headphones with the PL150. Yeah, we don't do that. But most decent headphones are going to sound absolutely phenomenal on this CD player. What about cons? The major con, I think, is that it does not feature Bluetooth. And the reason I say that is because I can just see, people taking this on the go, and maybe they're traveling in a hotel or whatever. Maybe they don't want to use headphones. If they had a Bluetooth speaker to connect to, I think that would be like a perfect thing. So hopefully, somewhere in the future, SMSL will at least include the ability to send Bluetooth, have it transmit Bluetooth. The display, well, it's pretty small, about the size of a stamp. So if you're any distance at all, you probably have a difficult time seeing it, but that's just being a little bit nitpicky, really. So to summarize this, I think the SMSL PL150 is really about everything you'd want in a modern CD player. It's compact, it sounds good, it's nicely made. It brings back that tactile joy of putting on a CD. With its nice, clean design, it's got a nice quality DAC. I just think it makes some of those discs sound a little bit better than you might remember. Streaming ain't the be-all to end-all. That's for sure. So if you have a collection, or you want to collect, or you've been meaning to revisit CDs, then the PL150 is an easy recommendation. As I mentioned, these sell for around $149. And if you're interested in picking one up for yourself, I do have an affiliate link in the description down below. And if you purchase through my link, I make a couple coins, help support the channel, but doesn't cost you anything extra. So I think for a small CD player, for desktop hi-fi, the PL150 has exactly everything you need. It's got a decent sounding DAC, a nice transport. It's not going to scratch your discs as long as you're putting clean stuff in there. Have a fairly clean environment. Nicely made. And, it's just got a nice design to it. And a lot of people think it looks better than the SMSL PL100. Again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But if you got a collection of CDs, you want to get into collecting CDs, you want to get some physical media going, and you can still get used CDs relatively inexpensively, a few bucks a piece, then I think it's certainly worth taking a look at the SMSL PL150. And this is Bruce Naylor with Desktop Hi-Fi. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.